Hello and welcome to another edition of the Chartered Career Chat series. I am delighted today to be joined by Clodagh of Microsoft Ireland. Clodagh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sinead, for asking me to be a part of this. I'm really excited. Thank you.
Not a problem at all. Well, look, why don't we kick things off? And what might be nice to hear up front is a bit of a summary of your career story to date.
Yeah, so my CV then.
Please.
Absolutely. So I'm from Wexford, and I went to university in Dublin, and I studied law actually. So I didn't go the typical route up through college and then into a Big Four. When I left university with my law degree, I knew from really early on I actually didn't want to pursue a career in law. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and by out of chance, a job came up in KPMG as in HR actually. So it was really as in the learning and development capacity, and that gave me an insight into the role of an accountant and the career prospects of being an accountant. And I was in KPMG for like a year or so, and I then applied to actually join and go do the traineeship, which I did, and I trained in consulting and did all my exams, went through that route. And then when I was thinking about where I would like to go next, at the time I just had a real interest in technology actually, and especially in financial technology. I think it's still an area that really fascinates me. It's innovative. I don't understand it half the time, but it really, really excites me. So on leaving KPMG, an opportunity came up to join a consulting company, Accenture, but it was on a job working out in Microsoft. So I thought, well, this is great because it's a little bit of a mixture of consulting, but also in industry and a tech company. So I get this, a really good, overall view and experience of what it might be like to be in industry. And I was out in Microsoft working with Accenture for like a few months, and I actually was asked to join Microsoft. So my career in Accenture in consulting didn't actually last that long in the end. I went straight into Microsoft, and it was a total no-brainer to move, and I absolutely have loved it ever since. So my role out there is financial controller. So I used to look after a number of entities in Europe. Then I moved and looked after Canada and a portion of the US market. Mm-hmm. I was financial controller there, and I continued to look after Canada. But I also recently moved into a role where I'm the business manager of or head of the finance organization that I work in. So it's been a really, really unusual career path, but really exciting. And yeah, I've loved every minute of it.
Oh, it sounds varied. It sounds fantastic. So it wasn't a case for you that you grew up knowing that you wanted to be a chartered accountant. It was maybe just through that exposure in that first HR learning and development type role. Fantastic.
Yeah. I don't think anyone really grows up and goes, I want to be a chartered accountant. But when you realize the career prospects, the training, the experience, the exposure, I don't know of many other paths you can go that set you up for your career as well as the chartered accountant exams. I think it arms you with everything that you can go into any industry, into any type of role, finance or otherwise, and that you wouldn't be able to have an impact or make a contribution.
And it's not just limited then, as you're very obviously saying, to traditional finance type work or record keeping type work. It's interesting that new post maybe you've had bolted into your role. Is that very much in the finance space, or is that something a bit broader?
Oh, it's not at all really in finance. I mean, of course, the role is I am supporting the head of finance, but I'm not, as you say, I'm not doing the number crunching or that bookkeeping type of work, and I love that work. I think I think if you want to work in business, to understand how a large or a small or a multinational organization works, having an accounting background is perfect. You get to know the in and out of a company, but and I do love all of that. But I also I had a real interest in project management, in working across multiple organizations, because I've learned that when you're in finance people don't sit in a silo anymore. You need to be partnering with the business, with delivery, with sales, with marketing, and I really love that opportunity to work across the company, and it's something that I've done. And this role as the business manager to the head of finance really enables a lot of that, because you're talking about strategy, it's project management, there's exposure to leadership, to a lot of different stakeholders, and I wouldn't have gotten that role without having been an accountant. I need the experience, I need the knowledge of accountancy, but I'm not number crunching in that role. And yet it's a really exciting role, completely different, and again, I'm absolutely loving it.
There's sometimes a misconception that chartered accountancy, it's boring, and it's maybe for those folk who are more introvert in nature, and it's quite an isolated role, but as you're showing there, that's not the case.
Not at all. I really have to say, I think it is a fantastic career. If you want to work in large teams, if you want to build big teams, if you want to work across the company, if you want to have an impact on the direction and the strategic direction a company is going in, then where better than to be in finance? So it absolutely not. It's definitely, I don't know many accountants at all who are, sitting in a room number crunching on their own. It's just not the world of finance now or into the future. It's much more collaborative. So I would absolutely say, if you wanted to be, wanted to work in business and in leadership, or you're like entrepreneurial, then to have that qualification sets you up perfectly for any of those career paths.
And do you think the qualification has had an impact on your own then personal career progression?
Oh, like without a doubt. I simply just wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for the exams. There's no way that I would have ended up where I am today. Between the knowledge of the exams, between all the people that I got to meet and network with along the way as well. Many of my very good friends are accountants. I just wouldn't be in the position that I'm in and have the opportunities, and also to know that you could, you have a career path. As soon as you have the accounting qualification, you have so many career paths ahead of you that there are too many options. You can travel, you can work in financial services, you can work in pharmaceutical, you can work in technology, you can work in small and medium businesses. There aren't many other qualifications that enable you to have that kind of platform in which you can go in any direction. So, and it's hard when you haven't yet taken the leap and you haven't yet done your exams. It's hard when there's that tunnel of that 3 years of doing those exams and passing your exams. It's you don't see that light at the end of the tunnel. But the moment that you have that qualification, you realize that it's the best thing that you could have, really, in to set you up.
Absolutely, totally agree that it's a passport to success. Yeah. Is there 3 skills you think folks should have if they're a chartered accountant?
I think that's a really good question, and I actually am going to name drop at the moment, because I was lucky enough last year to join a workshop with the CFO of Microsoft, Amy Hood. So globally, she is a very formidable character. She's been CFO for like going on 7 or 8 years, and somebody asked her the same question, and really it was also in relation to the technological advances in finance in the last few years. She said, they said, well, do we need to change? Do we need to upskill? And she said, well, actually, no, like the skills that you always needed to be a great finance professional and to be a good accountant are as relevant, 20 years ago as they are today. You need to be curious, interested. You need to want to get work done. So like enable other people to be successful, to be able to get work done. Maybe you need to be a little bit analytical. Perhaps you need to question the status quo. But if you are those things, you want to help other people be successful. And again, I suppose perhaps even most importantly, you're just really curious. Those are the skills that you need. There isn't anything like so specific that you could say if you didn't do maths, honours A in your leaving cert, that you're not going to be able to be an accountant. It's simply just not relevant anymore. The soft skills are almost, are every bit as important as the technical skills.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Would you recommend it, Clodagh, as a career path?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I would. I think that the opportunities, as I said, they're endless. You can travel, you can join any number of, any type of organization across any industry, and something as well that maybe I haven't touched on enough is that you're going to meet amazing people along the way. And the institute, we have there's hundreds and hundreds of people are going through the institute every year and are going through the exams, and there's just great camaraderie. I mean, I don't think I was ever as happy as when I got my FAEs, and you celebrate with all of your, all of the people that you have trained with and have gone through the same thing, and you always have that together. You have like, that family of friends that you trained with that, you're going to have for the rest of your life. And 20 years down the line, when they're in big roles, and maybe they're in finance, maybe they're not, like that's going to be your network, and they're going to be your relationships, which are so important to you. So it's between the qualification, the opportunities it gives you, and the relationships you build along the way. I'd absolutely recommend it.
There's a real strong sense of community I found within Chartered Accountants Ireland membership.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Clodagh, thank you so much for sharing all that today. It's been fantastic to hear it all, and really, really appreciate your time. So thank you for joining our Chartered Career Chat series.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.